It's turkey time, so let's talk turkey. Today we're going to talk about smoking a turkey. We're going to show you how to do that in a way that is going to make this better than you've ever had it before. That's a bold claim, but we'll see if I'm right. So thanks a lot, and let's get this thing started. So the turkey that we have with us today is ginormous, and you're going to see that in a second. We're going to pan down to that beast. Normally, for the two of us, we would do a 13-pound turkey or so. This thing is 20 plus pounds, but it's what we have, and so we're going to use it. A couple of things about what we've done. We've already removed the giblets and the neck and all of that and set them aside for the gravy. But now what we're going to do is we are going to turn this thing over, and we're going to show you how we're going to prepare this to go on our smoker, which we have already prepared at 275 degrees. Why 275, you ask? Because we don't want soggy skin, and we definitely want to get that crisped up so that it looks nice and it presents nice. And so with that in mind, we're going to show you how to do this turkey spatchcock style. So the first thing we have to do is we have to flip this thing over. So what we have here is we have a backbone in this thing, and if we were to put this on the grill or the smoker the way it is now, it would cook unevenly. So when I was growing up, every now and again, my dad would say to us, hey, I think it's a good idea to do a grilled turkey. And we would all kind of groan because his intentions were good, but that thing would come out looking like a burnt, charred piece of charcoal, because in order to get the meat temped up right, he would cook it longer than he had to. And what we're going to show you today is a way to get that turkey evenly on the grill, this spatchcock style. And so we're going to do that by removing the backbone, and then we're going to also remove the breastbone, and then that's going to lay nice and flat so the turkey cooks evenly. So what we have is a store-bought turkey. There's nothing fancy here. If there's a store-bought turkey that you have and it's got one of those plastic pop-up timers in it, just a word to the wise, those things are woefully inaccurate, and so they make those so that they err on the side of extreme caution, which means what? That it cooks too long, it doesn't pop soon enough, and then usually what you have is a dry turkey. We're going to cook this thing so that its internal temperature is 165. We're going to use an instant read thermometer for that. So if you've got a pop-up timer in your turkey and you're relying on that, my advice would be have an instant read thermometer, get rid of the pop-up timer, it'll come right out, and that way your turkey doesn't come out dry. All right, so let's take a look at how we're going to do this. I have here a pair of kitchen shears, and these are just from Walmart or somewhere. They're not overly expensive. Don't go and use the shears in the garage that you might have for projects. Don't go and grab the shears that might exist in the sewing kit. You want to use poultry shears. You want to keep it free from contaminants, and you don't want to use these shears for anything else. So if you're in an emergency and you're looking for something to cut thread or wire in the garage, do not use your poultry shears. All right, so I'm going to turn this a little bit so that you can see it. We've turned this thing upside down. The backbone is right here. And what we're going to do is we are going to start on either side of it with our shears, and we are going to start cutting that backbone out. It's going to get difficult in spots, but you can use two hands if you have to. And so let's see what we can do here. So if the sounds of cracking bones isn't for you, then, well, this might not be the most pleasant thing you've watched all day. It's not overly difficult. Now, one of the reasons we do this, as I mentioned before, is we want this to cook evenly, and when we prep it this way, it's going to lay flat on the grill so that it can cook consistently, and it can get as much of that smoke evenly as possible. And here comes one of those thicker parts, I think. Yep. So there we go. funny, at the beginning of this, I said this wouldn't be that bad, but here we are. I've done this before, so I know it's just a matter of working this a little bit. So let's do this. Let's turn it so I can meet it halfway. There we go. So So you can see now that the backbone is out. It took a little more effort than it usually does because this bird is so huge. I'm going to set this aside. You can certainly set this aside and use this for gravy. You can use this to make a broth or a stock. We now have our turkey without its backbone. And we're going to take this a step further. We're going to make a little slit right here. And you'll feel it stop. And then we're going to put a little pressure right there to open that up a little bit and expose the cavity a bit more. There we go. And then I'm going to take my finger, and I don't know if the camera can see this or not. I might even need to use my knife a bit. But inside this cavity is the breastbone. And if we get that out as well, then this turkey will lay extremely flat. Now, this is not a necessary step. This is going above and beyond. I'm going to try and expose this to the point where I can get my hand underneath it. And this will also help when you're carving, honestly. This breastbone won't be in the way. And we're going to see if we can't get this to come out in one piece. And if not, well, we'll go fishing for the rest of it. Sometimes this takes a little longer than others. Just got to keep working it. And if this wasn't the Godzilla of turkeys, I don't think it would be quite this stubborn. Okay, it did not come out clean. I've got a little bit left in there. These I just toss out. And I need to clean this up here because I got this little piece still stuck. Be careful every time you're using a knife. There, goodness. Okay, so now you've got your backbone out, you've got the breastbone out. We're going to now take and flip this bird over, and it is going to lay nice and flat. Look at that. Again, paper towels are your friend. We are going to just take that moisture off of there because we don't want anything to hinder the skin getting a nice crisp on it. We're about ready to season this thing up. So what I'm about to share with you was shared with us by Matt Pittman of Meatchurch. I can't take credit for any of this. One of the issues with smoking a turkey or even cooking a turkey in general is keeping it moist. So we have with us today a jar of mayonnaise. I promise you're not going to taste this. What this is going to do is it's going to create a moisture barrier on the turkey so that as it's smoking on the grill, it won't dry out. So you'll notice I've got one hand clean and one hand gloved. So we're going to just put some of this mayonnaise on here. But you need enough to spread it out and to just give good coverage. You can see how nice and flat this turkey is laying now because we did the work of removing the bone, the backbone and the breastbone. So there we are. And good. And I promise you're not going to taste the mayonnaise. Now, we're going to put some seasoning on it. And the seasoning we're using today is Honey Hog Hot. As long as you don't over season with this, it is not going to burn you at all. You're not going to taste any of the heat. But this is a nice sweet rub. And also, it has a lot of good ingredients in it that are going to provide this turkey a nice color by the time it's done on the grill today. So we're just going to go ahead and start sprinkling it onto the bird. And the mayonnaise, not only does it act as a moisture barrier, but it acts as a binder so that the seasoning sticks better and get underneath the wing. Some people really like those wings. We want to make sure we get seasoning on all of this. You know, you don't want to necessarily over season a turkey. It is a delicate meat. And speaking of delicate meat, you want to be careful you don't use a wood that produces too heavy a smoke. So if you were to use a hickory or a fruit wood like an apple, or nutty wood like a pecan, maple works well. You just don't want to over season and over smoke. Get underneath this one. As I've said in other videos, seasoning matters. Smoke matters. It all works with the transformation of this turkey into something that's delicious to eat. All right, so we're seasoned. We are getting ready to go and put this out on the grill. We've set the grill at 275. And we'll see you guys out. So we're going to transfer our turkey from our cutting board right onto our smoker. Today we are cooking on a Traeger ironwood. And we are going to lay this flat. You want to set this up the way that you want it to cook. And we're going to take an instant read probe, or a meat probe rather. We're going to put it in the thickest part of the breast. We're looking for an internal temperature of 165. We're going to close the lid. And we're going to let the Traeger work its magic, and we'll be back out in an hour to drizzle it with butter. Oh my goodness, does that look good? Skin is browning up nice. Very good. So what we're going to do is we are going to drizzle butter on this turkey. And the reason why you drizzle is you don't want to rub any of the seasoning off of the skin. All right, we're going to close it back down and we'll be back out soon. All right, friends, here is our turkey. You can see it's laying flat on the cutting board. Going to be real easy to carve this thing up. The skin is perfect color. The caramelized glaze is just shining and it's beautiful. Everything's going to be really tasty. We're going to let this rest 15 minutes and then we are going to begin to carve it and we're going to have dinner tonight. Hey guys, Captain Jim here. I had meant to talk about some spiritual issues in the video, but I got so into preparing the turkey that I simply forgot to do that, and I am sorry about that. But since this is the season of gratitude, and since we made a turkey, I thought I would highlight a portion of scripture that's been utilized quite a bit this season, and that was the 10 lepers and their interaction with Jesus. Jesus healed them, but only one came back to show gratitude. And Jesus highlighted that this leper, he wasn't a Jew, he was a foreigner. And this is consistent with some of the interactions that Jesus raises up as people who are understanding the heart of God. The Good Samaritan as another example, the Roman centurion as another, and then the contrast between the tax collector and the Pharisee, and that the tax collector who simply declared that he was a sinner and begged God for mercy was the one who was justified before the Lord, as opposed to the religious leaders who, rather than being so concerned about the heart of God, were concerned about the appearance of things in religion. It's important for us to focus on the heart of God today, and there's a scripture portion that I think really sums it up nicely for the season, and it's found in Micah chapter 6, verse 8. Here's what it says: He has shown you what is good and what the Lord requires of you, to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next time. Be grateful. Demonstrate gratitude.